to block the way. Warrant in hand, looking stern and grand. Bankie just lean on his hoe and stand. They asked Farmer Bankie, what you doing here? He said, cultivating what I hold dear. This is my medicine, this is my tea. This is the gift that Jah give to me. They say, but the law don't see it that way. Bankie said the law changed one day. Down to the courthouse, in the heat of the sun, Bankie tell the magistrate, work just begun. I grow for the elders, for the aches and pain. I grow for the young who walk in the rain. This ain't no commerce, this ain't no vice. This is Nevis tradition, it have a price. Now here's the irony, the whole island know. They approve the farming, they promote the show. Same ones who clap, turn around and seize. But the farmer's still standing, taking the breeze. The magistrate nod, say you can play your part. Go on to the show, let the music start. Bankie thank the court, give a little smile, but his confiscated parts them keep a while. So he walk on stage with his head held high, sing about the land beneath the navy sky. Yeah. Them take the part, Bankie stand in control. What he plan, truth and right. What they keep, they fight.
And the global greetings, welcome to another edition. Topics
Ya
here
kusiboto
on
yana.
Real Entertainment Network. Um, I'm not certain if I'm hearing the audio, if anybody's hearing me. Kalonji, you hearing me?
Reach nowhere, so you are fit.
I don't think I'm hearing the audio.
Them
You hear me,
know why you
Yahsonn?
reach nowhere,
I can't hear you.
so you have to find
But we
a
ain't live
way,
yet.
find a way.
Yeah, it seems as if you're not audio.
Them no want to see
We
you
don't have
rich,
any audio.
them will love to see you in
But
a ditch. Them no want to see you on tour, them no
I'm not hearing well. We're not hearing each other
I
seemingly.
could hear you.
So let's see what we can
I
put
could hear
into
both of you on.
this.
Kalonji,
Yes. You can hear
I can
me?
hear you. I can hear
Okay.
you.
I could hear both of you on.
Yahsonn. Yahsonn. But Kalonji,
Yes.
I guess Yahsonn can hear me, but Yahsonn can't hear me and you, but me and you can hear each other.
Yes. I could hear you. I could hear
What's going on with
Yahsonn
you?
too.
Yes, but Yahsonn can't hear. Well, I guess he could hear us, but we
Oh.
can't. I don't know. Is everything good with you?
Yeah. Is he muted?
I don't. He talking to somebody. He talking to a
Yeah.
technician.
Okay.
Yes. I'm not sure if we're live yet. I don't think we're live yet. We'll make sure. If we're live, if someone can send a message in on screen at least, if we're live and stuff like that.
Yes, global greetings. Welcome
Yeah,
to another
Yahsonn.
edition. Yeah, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could hear you on.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we're good to go then.
But
All
we're
right.
live.
Yeah, we live. Yeah.
Remember, we have Islander as our sponsorship. So to drop the thing in the greetings. I'm not
Okay.
sure if the video is lined up.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Yahsonn. Folks, sorry for the technical difficulties. Yahsonn, you there?
Yeah. Greetings. Sorry about that. We've been having a little technical difficulty on the back end. Sorry about that. We probably would have all that sorted out. Want to say global greetings to everyone. Greetings, Oli. Greetings, La Amiga. Greetings, the entire Caribbean region. And we say good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on wherever you may be geographically. So one of those greetings may apply to you. It's a very, very wonderful Tuesday evening here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. It's a pleasure to have in our presence this evening as our guest, Kalonji, who is based out of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I'm sure maybe by the end of the discussion, we might figure out that he might have some direct Nevisian roots as well. So all that we'll figure out in a bit in the discussion, along with all of the other things that we would get into this evening. Uh, Usually as well, we have our co-host, Bankie Shabbas King. This evening, we are embarking on a new journey here on the Topiks, as we have our first official sponsor, Islander, the Islander Seawater Taxi Services, and the folks with the On the Rocks restaurant over there at Awolowu, as we speak about Awolowu. So, want to say enough respect to the management and staff and team there at the Islander Seawater Taxi. So, if you're traveling between St. Kitts and Nevis, and you want to get here in 6 to 7 minutes, you get on over to Reggae Beach, hop on one of those ferries. You know, most times it might be half an hour. You know, sometimes they do 15 minutes interval, and you're over on Nevis, and you know, in comfort and in quick time. So Islander, Seawater, and they have other services as well. I see them have some jet ski and so on over there, so they have some other activities that you can, you know, participate in. So we want to give thanks to Islander for the sponsorship for this evening. Also, usually sponsored by Shabazz Organics over there in Cades Bay, Last Stop, Mansa's Last Stop, and Imperial Rides Taxi and Tours services here on the island. So those are the sponsorships, and we are open to you as well if you want to, you know, present your business as a sponsor. We're open for sponsorship here on Real Entertainment Network. You can just, you know, talk to Shabazz or myself or any other member of the Real Entertainment Network team. With those housekeeping matters out of the way, we are gonna give our co-host Shabazz an opportunity to introduce himself, and then I have a small little bio or intro that I would, you know, give on Kalonji, and then give him an opportunity to correct or add anything to the little bit of information that I would have, you know, gathered in terms of a little research on him, and then we get into some of the discussions and, you know, major topics that we would have on the table for this evening. So Bankie, global greetings. Welcome to another edition of the Topiks.
Yes, Yahsonn, greetings and greetings to the listening and viewing audience. Greatly appreciate you guys choosing to listen to Real Entertainment Networks on the topic on this another Tuesday evening. The month is finishing so fast. Want to give thanks for you to tune in. You could listen to any other media house, but it shows that you have that interest when it comes to the discussions that Real Entertainment tends to bring with different guests and their expertise on the different topics and stuff like that. Also want to add to what Yahsonn mentioned, Islander water sports, and big up the management. Winston Perkins, my boy Plug Eye. When I approach him, he never even think about it. He just say, just check me, and went talk, and here we are. So really appreciate him trusting us when it comes to promoting his business that he had managed and employ over 200 people for a small business and employ. That's a lot of people he employ throughout Navis and from St. Kitts, and he's doing a beautiful thing out there. He keep expanding. You have the scuba dive also. You mentioned jet ski. You have the restaurant. They also do charters and stuff. So even if you want to make a run 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, or even if the regular schedule is off, you just make a call and the same thing. They pick you up, drop you off. Always 24 hours around the clock available. So when you see Plug Eye, just about enough respect for begging up for sponsoring the topics, and you appreciate stuff like that. So greatly appreciate his team and them for coming on board. So Plug Eye, big up yourself, 100%. Great things happening, and for a young man who not, I mean, there's so much other companies just over here asking for sponsorship and stuff like that, and the gentleman didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? So it just to show you how genuine he is and stuff like that. So we greatly appreciate the support, and any other one listen to the sound of my voice. So plug up, big up yourself, as I said, and if you want to save his travel, and if you want to go St. Martin, it's most sure these guys are available to take Stacia, Saber, wherever it is. These guys will take you anywhere. We have a small ad to play, so not sure if we'll get it in this evening. If possible, we'll get it in. I want to get it in at least 3 times. But as we go along, and the technician figure out these things, then we get it in. But I'm definitely looking for the reasoning this evening, Yahsonn. And Kalonji, how are you doing?
Yes, my brother. Greetings. You could hear me?
Yeah, man, hearing you loud and clear.
Okay.
But Kalonji, what I'm gonna do here now, I'm gonna give you a little intro, and then I'm gonna turn over the mic to you for you to give our audience an opportunity, because we listen to all over the world, and I know that you're popular and other, radio talk shows and very popular around St. Kitts and Nevis. But even in these times with these modern technology, we're able to reach a wider audience as well still, and we don't know who's listening and who will listen tomorrow and next week and next month. So we want to give them an opportunity to know who Kalonji is, even before you become Kalonji, as far back as you want to take it in terms of an intro of yourself. So people, welcome to another enlightening edition of the Topics, where we dive into the issues shaping our community, our nation, and our world. Tonight, we are honored to have as our special guest the esteemed Kalonji, a veteran Rastafari elder and cultural ambassador for St. Kitts and Nevis, known as John Kalonji Jeffers. He has dedicated his life to Pan-Africanism, serving as a bridge between Africa and the Caribbean through initiatives like his impactful visit to Shashamane, Ethiopia, having spent time in the USA and long involved as a Pan-Africanist, echoing the spirit of Marcus Garvey's UNIA movement. He's also been an entrepreneur, political figure with the United Layamiga Party, and sought after voice on radio shows, like Winner from Voices, Freedom, and so forth. Tonight, he'll be joining us, myself, Yahsonn Tafari, and Shabazz Bankie King. Kalonji will share his wisdom on Rastafari, global unity, and more. Let's welcome Kalonji to Real Entertainment Network, and we're going to turn the mic over to Kalonji to add, correct, and eventually give his opening remarks and share a bit of who is Kalonji. I mean, like I said, you could take it back as primary school, the community you grew up in, and then we get into a discussion. Sell yourself, so to speak. So greetings, welcome to the platform.
Yes, greetings to both you and Brother Yahsonn and Brother Bankie. It's a pleasure being here on the Topics and Real Entertainment Network. I just like to shout out to all the Africans in here in the Federation of Liamiga and Uali. You know, I think it's about time we change these colonial names. And like I say, it's a pleasure being here. And it's interesting the introduction you give me, and you even went back to say that I have Nivision roots. All of my family is from Nevis. Everybody, both on my mother's side and on my father's side. I don't know if you know that Zook, Zook was the former
Yes.
deputy
Politician?
uh, premier of Nevis. That's
Yes.
my first cousin. You know, his grandfather is my uncle.
Mm.
All of the Jeffords family is linked. So basically, and the Swanstons. I don't know if you're familiar with Al Swanston, who passed away.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
him? And Larry?
Yes.
Those are my first cousins also. So everybody in my family come from Nevis and not forgetting both Arville and Steve Manners and the Manners family, Hansel, and all of them. You know what I'm saying? So we're one big family and, we go way back. Uh, I just like to say what Granny said before I go any further. What Granny said, because that is our slogan. We're talking
Good.
about the
Good.
whole African family. Because since I've been to Ethiopia, people say, man, I am the ambassador. So I'm saying I am the ambassador of African unity. I'm calling for the unification of all African people. And those who don't want to unite with us, basically, is on the other side with the colonialists. So what Granny say, join the movement for national unity. What Granny say, build the national consciousness movement. What Granny say, listen for the date of a general strike against imperialism, fascism, colonialism, and neocolonialism. Well, Granny says it's time we start build solar panels to get our energy. They're talking about uh the energy thing they need is, but I think solar panels, and we could even go into basically planting hemp to create energy, because the hemp plant, it's a big topic here in the Federation. The ganja, we could create over 300 different industries from ganja alone. We're going to say one people, one aim, one destiny. We're going to say one Pan-African Parliament. We're going to say one Pan-African passport. We're going to say one Pan-African currency. We're going to say self-esteem. We're going to say self-respect. We're going to say self-reliance. We're going to say self-determination. And we're going to say our philosophy is revolutionary Pan-Africanism. So, my brother, I love your introduction, and as you say, I spent part of my life in the United States. Over 20 years I live in the United States. And even before I left here, I was, a Rasta man. But being in the United States, you open up to such a broad spectrum of the African world, because in New York City, you come in contact with Africans from all over the globe. You know what I'm saying? Especially South and Central America, and the continent. But as you say, my visit to Ethiopia, basically, uh, the second Africa CARICOM summit has brought together African nations, Caribbean states, and the global African diaspora to strengthen unity, deepen integration, and jointly pursue reparations and reparatory justice through a comprehensive transcontinental partnership framework. Under the theme Transcontinental Partnership in Pursuit of Reparatory Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparations. The Africa CARICOM Summit is a gathering of African and Caribbean leaders aimed at strengthening the historic ties between the two regions and turning past injustice, including slavery and colonization, into opportunities for solidarity, cooperation, and reparatory justice. The summit focused on political, economic, social and cultural collaboration, advancing trade, investment, innovation, youth engagement, and shared development. The summit seeks to coordinate efforts on reparation, promote global advocacy, reform multi-dimensional institutions, and ensure that Africa and the Caribbean speak with one voice on the international stage. The summit also emphasizes building lasting partnership that uplift future generations, address structural inequalities, and create shared prosperity, well-being, and progress. The summit highlighted the deep historic ties between Africa and the Caribbean. They emphasized solidarity, cooperation, and reparatory justice while outlining shared goals in trade, investment, innovation, and youth engagement, and called for a united voice on the global stage to advance prosperity and equality for all people of African descent. Now, I was selected to go to Ethiopia to this summit because I was a member of the Reparations Committee here in the Federation of Simpleton and Nevis, which includes Brother Iwai of Nevis, Sister Carlo Astafan is the chair, and two other members of the committee. I just can't remember the name at this moment, but that is why I was selected to go to Ethiopia, because the conference, this was the second African Union CARICOM summit. The first one was held under COVID, so it was done virtually. But this one was the first face-to-face meeting of the African Union and CARICOM leaders in Addis Ababa, and it took place on the 6th of September 2025. So that's just a basic understanding of my trip to Ethiopia at the African Union.
So,
Any
as you
questions?
mentioned that, what are your thoughts now, seeing that you are a part of the reparations committee, which I feel sometimes I don't know if it's just me, or maybe I'm not necessarily in many of the social media spaces, but organizations like these, I think, need to be highlighted a bit more. I guess a bit, be a bit more out there with some of these topics. But I'm alluding to now, though, how do you feel now that in recent times there would have been a vote at the UN, and you would have had a majority vote or consensus in relation to addressing that issue? I guess if you want to as well, you could look at maybe some of the countries that um, did not sign on to, and the others that abstain, just did not vote at all on the issue. But generally, your thoughts on the fact now that, okay, we have been championing this reparation cause, and now we are getting some international recognition where this is concerned.
Yeah, as you highlighted that, I think it was very important for the president of Ghana, bringing this resolution in front of the UN. And basically, brothers, we see who is our friends and who is our enemies, you know. And for a long time, a lot of people have been saying that all these countries, especially those on the Security Council, including China and Russia, that they are the same. But basically, we see who abstained, the whole of Europe abstained, basically. And the United States, Israel, and Argentina voted against it. So, all we have to do, brother, is get more serious in terms of organizing, as you say, highlighting the whole issue of reparations, because I want you to know also that I was the chairman of the Reparations Committee in the Black Power Conference in New York, which was hosted by the December 12th movement, which I am a member of. You understand? And that's how I got in basically into the struggle of reparations because I was the chairman of the Reparations Committee in 1994 at the Black Power Conference that was held in Brooklyn, New York, here in 1994. So that is where I
So,
get really my introduction into struggle and in terms of even addressing an audience because they made me the chairman.
so that
Any
really leads
question?
into one of the questions that I had for you in relation to that. One of the questions I had was, um, your work has strong Pan-African roots. Can you share how Marcus Garvey's UNIA movement influenced your path, especially during your time in the USA?
Well, basically, uh, I went to the United States in 1979, the 18th of April 1979. It was a Wednesday. And on the Saturday night, my brother took me to a forum. Uh, I didn't have no idea what was happening. And this forum took place in Brooklyn. It's a place called the East. The East is on Sumner Avenue in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy. And I was in the audience, basically a young man, 18 years old. I will say over 1,000 people was in the audience. I had no idea what was happening. And the person who was addressing and giving the lecture was Brother Stokely Carmichael, better known as Kwame Ture. So that's basically where I get my introduction into struggle. Because from that moment on, and in those circles, you know, all around me was just about, the black liberation struggle, black people's history, culture, and way of life. And even coming in contact with Marcus Garvey, elder son, Marcus Garvey Jr., who was a nuclear physicist. I actually met him in Harlem at the Patrice Lumumba Coalition. Uh, Brother Elombebrat, who was one of my teachers, invited him to give a lecture there at the Patrice Lumumba Coalition in Harlem at the Harriet Tubman School. So I met him there and I interviewed uh, uh, Marcus Garvey's second son, who was here in the Federation last year, on Win FM when we hosted a program there, Redemption Cry. So I interviewed him there and actually met him when he came here. So basically, brother, living in Brooklyn, that's where I really get my groundings in the Pan African movement. And you're talking about the whole Marcus Garvey movement and Marcus Garvey work and what he did. I've been to Harlem where his headquarters was on 100, I think, 135th Street in Harlem. And one night I was listening to this program on WBAI in New York where the Happy Selassie was the host. And he talked about the philosophies and opinions, Marcus Garvey book. And I went out and bought the book. And by reading the book, The Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, I read one of his quotes where he said that there's nothing common to man that man cannot do. And from reading that, ever since that, my brothers, I've been just on the move and fascinated by the works of Marcus Garvey. And yes, Brother Lumberbat, who was one of my main teachers who grounded me in the whole philosophy of revolutionary Pan-Africanism. So that's just a historical background of, what we do.
I'm gonna move on to another question, right? But I'm listening to you, and I recall you said that you left St. Kitts and Nevis for America back in 1979. There's a lot of people who probably were not even born yet. You know what I mean? And we must recognize as well that historically, um, America would have gone through the enslavement era for a longer time than us in the Caribbean, so to speak, right? And so in the 70s, the kind of struggle that you're talking about, and the kind of uh, revolutionary spirit that was needed and necessary to even just be represented or recognized. It helped to put a little bit of that into perspective, because I guess you would have been around when what Malcolm X was around, or probably shortly after then. Give us some of those times in New York and what it was like in your environment, so that a young person who is listening now, who maybe even went to New York recently, or I've heard about New York and so on, could have a perspective of what you're speaking about.
Well, no, Malcolm X wasn't around. He was assassinated in 1965. But I met his wife, uh, Sister Betty Shabazz, at Medical Evers College. She was a professor there. So I met her there at Medical Evers College. And basically, brothers, I've been to the highest level of black struggle in the United States. I met Dr. King. I see that if he, I mean, sorry, not Dr. King, Dr. Joseph Ben Yakanon, Dr. Clark, Dr. Jeffries, Brother James Small, Professor James Small, uh, all the brothers and sisters who probably people might know about, but who was in the struggle on whatever level there was, whether it was in education, whether there was in culture, whether there was in trade, business, tourism, whatever aspect you want to talk about. I have met those brothers and sisters, interact with them. So that's why I have the kind of perspective that I have and the experience. Now, in terms of living in Brooklyn back then, one of the main things that took place, not in Brooklyn but in Philadelphia, I don't know if you ever heard about the movement. They lived in Philadelphia, and where they was living on Osage Avenue in Philadelphia, which was a black mayor at the time, Mayor Good. They dropped a bomb on their house or their compound in Philadelphia. And, it was really a big event in the terms of that, it was all over the United States. I don't think that people here in the Caribbean was familiar with that, but it was big all over the United States. And, it had a great impact on me, because what happened is that the Move brothers and sisters, they're not rashes, they're not Rasta, but all of them had locks. And what happened is that by blowing up the compound, all of them last name is Africa. So if your name is Yahsonn, is Yahsonn Africa. If your name is Bankie, is Bankie Africa. But they are not Rastafari, but they are cultural people and revolutionaries. And he had a great impact upon me, brothers and sisters. And the white community in the United States, especially establishment, they use the media to spread all kind of propaganda and move. And just by being there and observing and see what was going on the TV, I just couldn't stand it. They even get white Rastafarians to come on the media to say that they're not affiliated with this group known as Move. But I'm saying that basically all of these black people, whatever struggle we're going through, once you're living in the United States, it doesn't matter what is your religion, what faith you adhere to, whatever cultural different aspect that you gravitate to, whether you're Christian or not, whether you're Muslim, they are white supremacists, and especially the police force. They don't look at that, they look at color. I don't know if you're familiar with Brother Du Bois. He said that one of the main problems of the 21st century is the problem of the color line. And a lot of things our people don't understand in the United States. In the United States, when it comes to black people, deal with color. In the Caribbean, it's more class. But when it comes to the United States, the authorities, the people who are in power, they look at all of us the same way. It doesn't matter what part of the globe you come from, As long as you're black, you know, that's how they look at you. There's no other category that comes into focus when you're dealing with black people. They see all of us the same, you know. And living in Brooklyn, let me share this with the island. There was a lot of crack houses in Brooklyn. Everybody in the community. I live on St. Mark's Avenue between New York and Notion Avenues, right in the heart of Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights. And there were crack houses all over the place. And there was a movement named the Black Men Movement Against Crack. And just by the brothers marching through the street and saying close the crack house, I automatically joined the movement. So when we march on the crack houses, the police is not closing the crack house. So brothers and sisters who are concerned in the community march on the crack house. And then the police come after us. I saw that, I experienced that. So those are the things that shape me in the United States in order to get into struggle. And I tell you, brothers, the struggle is serious, serious, serious. A lot of things occur in different communities that is not shown on the media, so we people are not familiar, have no idea what is taking place. Up to this day, there's a lot of activities taking place because, like I said, I'm a member of the December 12th movement, and the December 12th movement, before I met them, was locked up, right, by the United States government for conspiracy to overthrow the government. But what happened? Luckily, they won the case, and when they came out of prison, they formed the December 12th movement, coming out of the Black Men movement against crack. So that's how I joined the movement and being involved in all these activities. But a lot of people are not aware that I was involved in all these things. So that is what really shaped me, brothers and sisters.
Yes, and it's interesting to learn this, and you know, as I listen to this and listening to some of this, I think back on, like you mentioned, Malcolm X was assassinated in '65. You were over there in '75, so that would have been 10 years after. So you know, still you would have had that sort of level of, as you spoke of, that revolutionary, that having to fight for your rights, your space. You, I mean, seemingly we don't have as much of that revolutionary spirit, even in America, and here on St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, what you as a veteran elder and elder Rastafari in the community here on St. Kitts and Nevis, how do you envision Rastafari functioning as a unified nation across the diaspora and Africa? Well, you could start with St. Kitts and Nevis and your vision of that unified nation, Rastafari, one nation across the diaspora and Africa.
But it's very interesting that you look at it that way. But I'm saying that my position is that I'm a member of the African consciousness movement, right? And also, what we are dealing with basically, we call upon our people to also join the movement for national unity. I think at this particular time, what is happening in the geopolitical space, and what a lot of our people don't understand, what is impacting us, right, is the geopolitics right now. I'm submitting to you, my brother, and I don't think I'm wrong. Washington, Donald Trump, and his administration is dictating domestic policy. You hear what I'm saying? Not only here in the Federation, but throughout the whole Western world. I don't know if you're familiar with the national security strategy for the Western world. You're familiar with that document?
I wouldn't say that I'm fully familiar with it. I've heard of it, but I don't think I'm fully familiar with it. So if you want to expound a
Good.
little bit on it, you can.
Yeah, but well, what that is saying basically, because I did some investigation into it, and what Donald Trump is saying in the national security strategy is that he's going to reorganize the whole Western world because they see the Western world as the sphere of influence. I don't know if you're familiar also with the Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine was proclaimed in 1823 by President Monroe. In 1823, he was enslaved still. So what they're saying basically, because the Western world was dominated basically by Spain at one time, then by England, and then it moved to the United States and even France. So what they're saying right now, the political economy of capitalism is in crisis. That's why you see what is happening. You see how the kidnapped president Maduro from Venezuela. So what they're saying basically is that they're going to reorganize the whole Western world. That's what the national security strategy is about. So you hear the Prime Minister now saying is that we cannot accept Haitians as refugees from the United States, right? That was dictated to sink its Nevis by Donald Trump and his administration. I'm telling you, I'm confident, I'm certain of that. So what you see, even with the destiny situation in Nevis, all these things part of the national security strategy. I don't know if you're familiar also with Eric Prince, right? If what happens is that my brethren who accommodate me here at Creative One Studios, he's streaming cricket tonight. That's why I would love to show you these clips because we could upload them and I could point them out to you because I don't like to deal with not without bringing the evidence. But he's over in the park streaming cricket. That's why we don't have the clips. But what I'm saying, Eric Prince, he's the founder of Blackwater. And Blackwater is a private military outfit, right? And he's basically saying is that we're going to recolonize the whole of Africa and African people in general. President Macron of France also made a statement saying that African people are ungrateful for wanting to be a sovereign and independent people. I mean, these are statements are being made by these people. We see the attack now upon Iran, right? Where Donald Trump is saying is that the Iranian people should not obtain nuclear weapons. But who is it to determine that all that is white supremacy? That's why you see Brother Dubois said that the problem of the 21st century is the problem of the color line. And what white supremacy is saying to us is that they want to dictate the terms because the political economy of capitalism is in a crisis, so they want to reshape it. So I'm saying that we're at a crossroads and it's time for people to come together, not only the Rasta people, but African people in general. So we are calling up on all people here in the Federation to join the movement for national unity because we want to unify our people. We don't want to engage in this pot calling the kettle black politics because that is what is happening. The government is blaming the opposition is blaming the government. We're saying no. It's time for us to put our differences aside, sit down, atone for our sins because we have sinned against each other politically. Now, I heard some comments that Brother Mark has made, a very good friend of mine. And what I'm saying is pure colonialism. We got to done with this colonial paradigm that the British, England has put on us. This colonialism have to done. We have to come up with our own rules and set our own rules to move forward in this 21st century for our people. But so that's what I'm calling for. Unity of African people here in the Federation, in the OECS, in CARICOM, and as Malcolm X called for the black nation in the Western Hemisphere, which is the Republic of Africa, to come together to have one political organ, one political body. We need to become a nation instead of fighting amongst ourselves.
Okay, so with that being said, this leads me into a little bit on the home side of things, right? The current government has strengthened ties with Africa, including recent agreements with Nigeria for special envoys and your own cultural bridges like Shashamani. What's your take on these trips and the direction towards a deeper Africa CARICOM link, so to speak?
That is what is needed because we see what is taking place globally. We need to link with Africa. But there's a lot of work need to be done, my brother, because when I was at the African Union, it was a joy for me, being the first time that I've been to Africa. And like I said, well, before I go any further, let me say, me and the Prime Minister, we go way back, even before we went to study in Cuba. So we have a bond from way, way back. And when he was going to Africa, he said he needed a Rasta man. And true, the conference was about reparations. I had the opportunity to accompany him to Africa at the African Union. Being in the hall in the African Union, in Mandela Hall, the main hall where the debate was taking place. But when you look around and see that if African people really unite, Babylon have no chance of surviving. I mean, it was so glorious to see Africans from all over the world, both in the West and on the continent coming together. I mean, being at the African Union, I saw name of countries that we are not familiar with here in the West. I was surprised. I look around and I see certain names. The AES wasn't represented in terms of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. But he had people here from those countries because when they had, after the opening address and there was a intermission, I mean, being at the African Union, my brother, people was, even in Ethiopia, because I had on my Ethiopian regalia, and everybody was amazed with this Rasta man, I tell you, my brothers and sisters. Everywhere go, people wanted to take pictures with me. You understand? And I'm saying that being at the African Union, the December 12 movement, we have links, direct links with Zimbabwe, right? And the president of Zimbabwe wasn't there, so the representative who was there at the time, in the intermission, I approached him and I told him, well, I'm a member of the December 12 movement. From the time he heard that, he said, oh, Brother Shimarango, who was the chairman of our organization, but he's passed. And right away, he knew who I was. Not also, also, a brother from Niger approached me and he told me he was from Niger. And I told him, well, the brothers in the Caribbean, we need to get our passport for the AES states, being Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. He said, don't worry, this is my card. You could link me anytime. That could be taken care of. So I'm saying to you is that when you look at what is happening in the Sahel states, those states are leading the real African revolution to unite African people. Because what I'm saying to you is that there's a lot of problems that is facing us. For instance, when we was in Ethiopia, I went to a meeting with brothers and sisters from the Caribbean who live in Africa. But I had a meeting at the Holy Trinity Cathedral Conference Hall in Addis Ababa, that being part of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Bridging communities, strengthening Caribbean Africa relations through diaspora engagement, climate innovation, cultural and interfaith diplomacy. Holy Trinity Cathedral Conference Hall, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And the brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, especially the Rastafari community, they was outlining a lot of difficulties they have in Africa. And what they were saying basically is that setting up businesses and doing different things from a business aspect in Ethiopia and in Africa in general. This sister was outlining that I think she's living in Kenya and her husband live in Tanzania. And what I was saying basically is that the difficulties what they had is that they will give you to stay for 6 months, then you will have to go to the country and then come back. But what they was saying is that it costs too much money to do that. So why just you don't normalize relations? So a lot of the difficulties that this gathering, brothers and sisters was there from the Caribbean and people who was from different CARICOM countries who were members of the reparation committees. Brother Becklus was there and different people were involved in the reparation committees, right? And they was outlining the difficulties that they had. And there was putting these things over to us in terms of the difficulties that they're having. And they wasn't even invited to the discussions at the African Union. So what we are saying that there's a lot of work need to be done, and it's not going to be easy because the Western world is doing everything in order to keep us apart. But as we move forward, coming out of the conference, a lot of the stipulation, especially with visas to travel to different countries, all those things was relaxed. So a lot of work is taking place, and I'm saying to you, as brother uh, President of Ghana said, Africa is the future, and the Deputy President of Ethiopia, when he addressed the conference in Addis Ababa, he said, "Welcome home, brothers and sisters." And he was happy to see that we from the Caribbean in the diaspora was in the audience, and he welcomed us home wholeheartedly. And let me tell you, when we went to Shashamani, we got red carpet treatment, brothers. Red carpet treatment. It was a joy for me to be there to see how they welcome us to Shashamani. So, any questions?
Yeah, well, here's what we're gonna do at this point, right? I am finding that this evening we have a very vibrant audience on the YouTube platform, and so there's a lot of comments and questions coming in and so forth. And so I want to take at least a minute and give you a chance, Kalonji, to maybe sip on some water or something in the meantime. But I'm going to go through some of the comments that we have here on the wall. Oliver Liebert says, "Yes, bro." O. Mussington says, "Good night, Bankie and Yahsonn and Kalonji." He says, "Yes, you're
Good
live." Okay,
night.
so I guess that's when we're trying to figure out if we were live. Yes, greetings. Reparations mentioned a lot. Hope the seller were asked to pay. Okay. Um, Blessed evening. Danny Herb says, "Blessed evening." Pedro Gemot says, "Ghana, the Gold Coast, who had slave markets, be real." Um, Burl B. Jones says, "Respect Kings. Nice to have Kalonji on tonight. Can he give his WhatsApp contacts? Thanks." And then Burl B. Jones says, "Question for Kalonji. Is there any movement on the ground for getting that Pan African Museum he always asks for? Why are we seeing a mosque going up before that museum for us as blacks?" Um, Bobby Jones again, he says, "Question for Kalonji. Is he still a part of the reparations committee?" Well, that is answered because he said yes, and that is whether or not seems like we are giving away our land. What is his view on the Destiny project? Okay, I guess we're gonna get to that. Look up. You're jotting down the questions, Kalonji.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
look up Anthony Johnson. Somebody says look up Anthony Johnson. Burl B. Jones says, "Why are we giving away? Okay, why are we giving away our lands and we haven't got reparations? Didn't get a statement from the reparations committee concerning that Destiny project. Will they make a statement in that regard?" I mean, I guess this is specific to the Reparations Committee. He's saying, I guess you would have heard statements from other organizations and institutions and so forth, but they would have never heard anything from the Reparations Committee, and they're wondering if you guys will make a statement in that regard. How the ITI is more important. Stop giving people supremacy over oneself. Okay. To save our lands, why can't the Reparations Committee approach the government to put some legislations in place to save the lands for the local people and the next generation? A great suggestion. Pedro Demat says Rastafari should stop letting governments use them as tokens. Okay. Hugh Dan says religious and geopolitical beliefs is our downfall as the African soul group. Awesome points, Ras Kalonji. My type of talks. Straightforward. Pedro Jamat says after capturing and selling they one another into slavery and now asking for reparations, unbelievable. Pedro Jamat says if Haile Selassie used to think about race, I guess he wouldn't have exiled in the UK. Hiodan says Sahel States is the future for African Union. Captain Abraham Traore for leader of the United States of Africa, Kemet. Bubba Love says, blessed night to the kings on the panel. Mighty Servant says, my thoughts, there are too much deification of the white world, and this leads us to abdicating our responsibility of and for self. We have to hold ourselves responsible for where we are. And those are the comments on the wall. I must say thank you to all of you who are logged in and who are responding and who, seemingly based on the comments, Bankie, are very much in tune to the conversation and conversation. And it's making me feel that we need to have much more of these types of discussions and engagement. And I want you guys to look forward to it as well, because that's one of the things with the topics. It's a very diverse program. We're not just limited to political talks and or just social issues, but we go against the grain if necessary. We go we're outside the box, around the box, in the box, above the box, under the box. Topics you will hear on the platform. So yes, thank all of you who are logged in, and later on we will have an opportunity for folks to call in. I want to say thanks to our sponsors, our new sponsors for this evening, the Islander Water Sports. That's the good folks there with the On the Rocks restaurant there. They do charters, they do, ferry service running between St. Kitts and Reggae Beach and Oli, Nevis. You can call them anytime. They do, private charters like that. You want to your group going down to St. Kitts, it could be 2 o'clock in the morning. You call them up and they will definitely, in some way or shape, accommodate you. And so we want to thank them for hopping on board and sponsoring this edition of the topics for this evening. Also, Shabazz Organics and Imperial Rides Taxi and Tours. Want to say to all of you who are logged in, I want to encourage you to take 10 seconds 10 seconds and go over to the YouTube platform, subscribe, like, share, click on the notification bell so that every time we have a program, you would be notified. So nobody would have to tell you and you wouldn't have to miss another edition of the topics. So go on over, take a few minutes and do that. And I want to say thanks again to everybody who are logged in to the discussion and making their comments. We got Caribbean Queen says, mighty servant, amen to that. Not only do we need to hold ourselves responsible for our current state, but for our future. Pedro Gemat says, I see no mention of the other slave trades, for example, the Arab ones at the UN. Okay, so great points of discussion. I'm going to let you comment on some of those, Kalonji, but while I do that as well, I would have been asking most of the questions for at least the first hour, so I don't know if Bankie would have some questions as well, but I'll let you comment, and then Bankie, I'm gonna let you, if you want to pop in and ask anything, to pop in and ask one or two questions if you want to. So Kalonji, you can respond to some of the questions that you would have documented that you want to respond to, and or anything that you would want to add as well.
But in a general sense, right? My position is personally that anything that is not going to benefit black people, African people, I cannot support it. Whether it's the destiny, because I don't know if you know, those libertarians, they are racist. And like I said before, the whole national security strategy is to reshape the whole Western world. So what I'm saying to you, what is happening domestically is all part of that. And it's against our people. Look, the St. Lucia Prime Minister said that the United States is pressuring him to not send any more students to Cuba to study. Look how the United States is blockading Cuba. And Cuba has done so many things to us. So what I'm saying to you is that the next day after the Prime Minister of St. Lucia made that statement, the embassy in Barbados said that they did not say that. But I knew that I said. I knew the Prime Minister was telling the truth. So what I'm saying to you that these people speak with a forked tongue. That's what the Native Americans said. They never tell the truth. And our people here on the ground have to understand these things. So I'm calling for the unification of our people here in the Federation. We got done away with this pot calling the kettle black politics. I listened to some of the debate in Nevis where my good friend, the Premier, was addressing certain audiences in Nevis. He told this lady that she must go home and read the Bible. Now that is colonialism. He also made a remark that nobody could fool him. But why would I want to fool the Premier? Why would I want to fool Brother Bankie? Why would I want to fool Brother Yahsonn? All that come about because we are colonized. We have to decolonize our people's mind. That's why I'm calling the movement for national unity. We have to come together, sit down, repent for our sins, and atone for our sins and come up with something new that will lead our people forward. The whole question about the ganja here and Brother Bankie and Brother Nubian being arrested and saying, you hear my good friend Brother Ellen Bauer talking about if these laws is not legalized, decriminalized, right? His argument is that if we don't do these things, we lose our corresponding banking. I saw him up to when? Yesterday, because I listened to everybody. So I said to him, and I said to him all along, let me get our own banking system. We need to get our own currency. And nobody want to address that because what happened? The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, said, when BRICS was trying to form the alliance, that if we let them do it, we cannot sanction them because any business we do, we have to use the US dollar. So we need our own currency. How we could get our own currency? Once your currency is backed by gold, the Sahel states have gold. It cannot lose its value. The United States dollar has no value because it's backed by oil. So that's why you see they want to capture the oil in Iran. It's not about no nuclear weapons. It's about gaining control of the oil in Iran, just like how they get the control of the oil in Venezuela. So I'm saying to our people got to come together, brother. We at the crossroads. We need to come up with our own rules instead of relying on colonial rules. The Constitution is a colonial document, right? When we had statehood, it's the same Constitution we had that we have now. The only difference in this present Constitution, one or two or three things, is the whole question of secession for Nevis. Now, why would Africans want to secede from other Africans? That constitution was given to us by England. It's not our document. And then you hear some of the arguments them that the constitution is this and the constitution is that. The constitution is illegal from my perspective because it doesn't deal with our situation or our interests. It was given to us by England. So that is how I see everything what they are talking about. In terms of reparation, people like to say that we sell ourselves. Now, I'm not saying we wasn't involved in those things, but we got to understand we were conquered. You understand, by England. England conquered India. England conquered China. But when it comes to us, we sell ourselves. You got Iranians who are participating, who want to see the regime or the government in Iran obliterated. You got people from Cuba in Miami who want to see the fall of the Communist Party in Cuba. So we know these things. But only when it comes to black people, we are saying, oh, we sell ourselves. We were conquered. That's why we end up in enslavement. So what we are saying is that we have been conquered for so many years. What we're trying to do is to restore our people to their traditional greatness, and we are coming up with a guide which is the 7 principles of Kwanzaa in order for us to become whole again. It's a guide for us to move forward. So that's how I look at it, brothers and sisters. We need to unite because through unity there is strength.
Okay, people, the number to call in if you wanna, make an input on the program, 1-869-662-7196. That's 1-869-662-7196. If you wanna make an input on the program, Bankie, I'm gonna turn over the mic to you if you wanna ask any questions, add your input to the discussion so far. If you want to respond to anything that you would have heard so far, the mic is yours.
Yes, Yahsonn. Kalonji, I want to go back to where you mentioned the Destiny Project. Let me say this. A good friend of mine attended a wedding there over here in Nevis, which was well attended. I was told that he had members of the federal parliament that attended, and it seemed like the birdie told my good friend that the Destiny Project will not materialize. I'm not well used when I hear these things. There are a lot of facts to it, so I'll just watch and I'm starting to be corrected. So I'm not sure if this is not, well, most likely the premier himself supposed to know this kind of information. So if that is the case, I would like to know what's really going on. If it's not going to materialize, the premier just holding on and as if like something going to happen. If this is the case, just come straight up and let the people know what's going on. Before I get started, let me just give thanks for all those who attended the march last week Friday. Big up my friend This and That who stick around and pass through, and the manager at the Indian Castle Food Tree Orchard, Mr. Steve Reed, see him passing through and watching on and go back, I guess, taking in the reason and stuff like that and supporting the march. So all those who come out and support the march, really appreciate that. It's all about protecting the elderly. If you have that interest when it comes to the elderly and being abused by those who are supposed to be protecting the police and stuff like that, then you had a right to come out and support. So it's just beyond cannabis and above the smoke tent. When we tend to say cannabis, all I hear is smoke, smoke, smoke. I don't know why intelligent people would speak like that when it's so much use when it comes to the plant, drinking teas for pain and all this different stuff, but every minute you just smoke. You can't say with this intellectual about when you think about cannabis, all I can think of is smoke. We got to come better than this as a people. We know better. Our government is moving towards the cannabis industry and it's way beyond the smoke. It's all kind of epilepsy seizures. We know these things. So if we're going to lead this way, we got to speak better than this. If it's something we want, either we want it or we don't want it. Okay? But Kalonji just said that to mention we spoke about the destiny, so you don't support nothing when it comes to this kind of project and stuff like that. So that was just to put in that part right there. What came out of that trip in Africa that you went to the with the Caribbean and the African link up? When they went into that summit after leaving Ethiopia, what did you bring back from that summit in the way forward? Plus, you mentioned a lot of stuff that is going on within the world, but our leaders, they know what's going on in the world too. But do you see them making any effort? Are they just shutting a blind eye and don't think all these issues exist? So who are we gonna blame? Our leaders look the same like us. They see just how you see what's going on. Do you think they don't have the same knowledge that you have, or they just don't see it like that? They just see it totally different, and these are not an interest to them.
Well, like I said, our policy is being dictated from Washington, brother. So I'm calling upon our people, all the political parties in the Federation, and the masses of our people, let we get together and trash out our differences so we could start planning how to move forward. For instance, in our situation, look how much land we have here, especially in Sinkit since there is no longer any king. We got to be able to feed ourselves. We got to be able to provide energy for ourselves. And the solar panels is very important in that aspect. And as I mentioned before, about how much industries could be created from ganja, right? We got to sit down, but if the leaders don't want to do it, I'm calling up on our people. We could force them to do it, but once we are organized. The problem here is that our people are not organized outside of the politics. You know, we people need to get organized. Marcus Garvey said, show me a people who is not organized and I show you people without power. What we are talking about here, brothers and sisters, ain't nothing that I know that I don't think that the Prime Minister don't know. I mean, like I said, me and he go way back. So I'm saying to you, I am not against
So these are
anybody.
choices then.
I'm
So what are you
calling us to
speaking of is
unite.
choices. Okay, so
Like I
do
said,
you know?
the policy is being
Let me say this. Are you aware that there's a museum being built at Port Thomas, which is supposed to be a mosque? Is this
I'm
true?
aware of that. I'm aware
So
of it.
why
Yes.
is a mosque?
Because
So
I passed the
why a
answer.
mosque? Why that choice? Why a mosque?
Well,
Why that
okay,
choice?
I don't know. I have to investigate that some more. I would like to find out some more
So do
information.
anyone protest this mosque? It's so sensitive because it's a religion why no one can. Is think it have that a big population of a Muslim? Why do you call it a mosque? So why there is no
No, but
speaking
it's
of the
increasing.
whole what?
There's a mosque some other place also to him. That is
Where?
not the first one. I'm not
Where?
sure. I have to check it out.
You
Because I
think
have
it to
a friend
me?
who is a Muslim. Yeah. I have a friend who is a Muslim.
Yeah, but what I see advertising, this is a monstrous of a building. This is a massive structure on 8 acres. You see what I mean? This gonna be like a monument. You can't miss this from Mars, space. This is gonna be looking bigger than we call it the church across from one and what the brick building, the stone building there. What's
The
that?
Anglican Church?
The Catholic Church, the Anglican
The
Church.
Anglican Church?
That structure look
Yeah.
way bigger than that. We made that look a toy. So why
Okay.
of all the protests going on in St. Kitts, why this one now being protests? Why not political parties talking about that? Is that sensitive? Where everything
But
that's
let
what
me
you think
say
is that
this.
sensitive? And I want to put in this too. Because our government is borrowing money from the Saudis and all these different stuff, all these Muslim country. Why nobody speaking about it? Because
Okay.
I understand
Like
this,
I said, but
Yeah.
like I said, I will investigate that some more. But what I'm saying to
Which
you,
one?
I think
Which one do you investigate?
there's other mass already established before that one.
Where?
Because that's what my brethren told me. They go to I forget what I call it, but I don't have a problem with religion, as His Majesty said.
No,
Everybody
of course not.
see,
Of course not. But 8 acres
you know,
of a historic site. a pristine site, which could be used as even to build a brand new school, whatever you want to do with it. Why not use for the benefit of our people? Because
I agree with that.
this don't make no sense to me. So why nobody protesting this? Why you not upset about something like this? Because all
Exactly.
these
So
people,
what I'm
all
saying
we're
to
here
you,
talking about, we've been enslaved by all these different religion, Remember that, 'cause all them come out the same thing, It's just different name
same.
and different disguise. Remember that. So
Yeah.
whether it's Muslim,
But
Hindu,
okay.
it are the same thing. Let me not
Yeah.
forget that.
So
Okay, if you're gonna
yeah,
speak
what I'm
truth, we
saying to
speak
you now,
truth. We're not butting up stuff and holding sides. 'Cause I'm not here to hold sides. I'm just here to educate. You see what I mean? I'm not
exactly.
favoring nothing. I deal with spirituality and that's it. Me not hold Christianity, Muslim, because it's all coming from the pyramid text. Same thing. It just over centuries things have been changing and stuff like that. So me overs all these things here. Because I sit in a library of collections. So if you know Marcus Garvey book, I can bring up every name you mention. You understand? I have the text. James Small,
All right.
every one
Yeah.
of them. Same thing. I'm a student.
Okay then.
I mean, I sit in my library. So my thing is, let
Mm.
me speak straight and the whole side. And I want to hear a whole side. Come and call you out. So
Yeah.
speak straight. Go ahead.
So that's why I'm calling for our people to unite. But let me go back. What I was saying is that I think there's one or other two masks here before what is taking place at Fort Thomas. Because there's an influx of all kind of people coming here, you know? And I called for years ago, over 10 years. I'm saying that all African people should be made citizens of every African country. I should be a citizen of St. Vincent. St. Vincent should be citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. Antiguans should be citizens of here. I should be a citizen of Antigua because I first saw all these things taking place. And when I mentioned it to our people, they said, man, you're always talking foolishness. But now they're seeing it now. And what they're
But
seeing taking
Kalonji,
place, they say, by Kalonji, what you saying coming to pass? You know? So
what you're
I'm
saying
saying to
here,
you, the
right?
people got to get real.
Yes, but
Go ahead.
Kalonji, Saint Vincent, Saint Lucia, Dominica, all these Caribbean countries apart St. Kitts Nevis, Antigua, they're selling passport, most of them. Shares, whether it's 3,000 shares, 10,000 shares. But the locals are not benefiting. It's our own leaders not helping our own, or have their citizens living in poverty. You see what I mean? Because they take out
Um,
their own resources and give them to others, to so-called investors, where the locals are really not benefiting. If you take just a pinch of that resources and put it into a stimulus where the locals then can benefit, you can wipe out. We can wipe out all and eradicate all this thing what we call inequality, and poverty. These are choices made by our so-called those which with either party. They're creating this situation and don't want to get rid of it. It's just as simple for what it is, and we call it for what it is. The topics is not here to butt up things. We're calling stuff straight up. So don't come here and butt up stuff. Call them out. You see what I mean? We know all of them. We keep mentioning over in Abraham Traore. But what the difference we can do here? Are the same thing. Everything is
I,
just choices. So I don't want to hear nothing about the United Nations and about this and about that. When we come here, we
but
speak in
listen what I'm
truth.
saying. I am not in favor of selling passports. I was never in favor of it. But
I'm
that's what
just
we
talking
have.
in
So what I'm
general.
saying to you, but yeah, I'm
Yes.
saying to you, we
hold on a
can't
second.
sell
Hold on a second.
passports.
Hold on a second, Kalonji. Before you respond, right? I just wanted to interject this because we do have a vibrant on the wall platform this evening. And so we have somebody here saying, Mighty Servant, saying that there is a mosque in Bath Village and one on West Bastia Highway just going past Gillard's gas station. Yeah, I think it's Gillard. I think it's Gillard. So I guess they're
Mm-mm.
just they're responding to your curiosity and saying that you think that they are, but they're saying that they are. But
Yeah,
I guess Bankie is still making the difference that this is a monstrous building which is
Well,
sitting on about
Yahsonn,
8 acres of
what
land,
what what
and so.
When I say a mosque, I mean I know the building design, the design of the structure. I know one of about the regular buildings. That will just blend in, but this one gonna build how the traditional stuff builds. So that's gonna be symbolic in that terminology. I mean, not just a traditional building we just call, but this one now we're gonna build. What you see over in Africa, in Indonesia, and practically probably gonna be
Right,
white.
right.
Kind of call it the White House and stuff like that. This aspect I'm talking about, the exact shape, symbol, that gonna be something totally different. And once you see that, you don't know that gonna overthrow a lot of stuff. Guarantee that.
Okay, you could continue
Yes.
responding now, Kalonji.
Yeah, I want to put this on the record, brothers. The schism between Sinkits and News about secession, right? Now, I'm going to show you the link with how we've been indoctrinated and colonized. You have any idea when the secession talk started? Anyone of the item have an idea about that?
Well, this probably been around since the enslavement time, when all the elites them around fighting against each other for separate, ain't it? This will be nothing new under the
Okay,
sun.
let me read it to you. In 1866, the Sinkits Assembly voted for a single chamber, eliminating the council and with a majority of members appointed rather than elected. That same year, it was noted that of a population of 25,000, only 300 were qualified to vote under the requirements then in effect. Other islands in the Leewards followed suit. The British governor wrote to the Colonial office in London that the government of Antigua was the best, but Banco. In Sinkers, the government was rich, but the assembly and the president were deadlocked, and little could be accomplished. In Nevis, the government was bad, and Montserrat was, if possible, even worse. Governor Hamilton of the Leewards wrote to the Duke of Newcastle a letter on 23rd October 1862 in which he succinctly set forth an accurate analysis of the Leeward Islands' political situation. Antigua, St. Kitts, Montserrat, and Nevis are all within view of each other. I frequently see them all at one view. They are minute monarchies with separate legislatures, different tariffs, distinct provincialisms, and with an anti-party strong in the ratio of approximation. Now listen to this fact. A gentleman of Nevis, now this is 1862, a gentleman of Nevis says it is a duty he has inherited to abhor everything belonging to St. Kitts, which he adds is the fate of all Trinidadians. Now you hear what I'm saying? No black man in political office. And now we hear in 2026, how much hundreds of years after, and the debate about secession is still alive. Because we have been indoctrinated by this Westminster colonial system. So the point I'm making is that we are not operating on our own rules. We are operating on a colonial construct that is hindering our people from really coming together and achieving what we need to achieve as one. Now, there's also another one. I want to read this because I want to put it on the record. This goes back to Mr. Leiber. He was a member of the Legislative Council, right? Leiber, Charles DeCox, later Sir Charles, acting governor of St. Kitts, called Leiber puerile and responded angrily. My colleagues in the Legislative Council, who I regret to say, regard Nevis and Anguilla as a drag on St. Kitts and would willingly see a separation. Leiber did not give up and sent a letter of complaint to the West Indian Committee at the Colonial Office in London. In a dispatch to the Federation government dated 14 July 1904, The committee agreed with Labour that the people of Nevis had a genuine cause for complaint and action should be taken promptly to rebuild the Nevis hospital. Nothing was done until 1907. What Labour was saying is that there was a hurricane. Nevis wasn't attached to the telegraph office, so they didn't know the hurricane was coming. It mashed up the hospital, and nothing was done to rebuild the hospital for years. And what I'm saying to you is that no black people was involved in these things. We wasn't involved even in politics. We couldn't even vote because we got the vote in 1952 or 53. So I'm saying to you is that this colonial paradigm that we are dealing with have to go. We got to get with our own rules and come up with our own constitution. So that's what I'm calling for, the unification of our people.
So Kalonji,
You know,
what are the steps you have for this to work? What are the steps you have for this to work? Because we have a set of
The same
people.
principle.
We have a prime minister who come out of a conscious house, who say he himself had to, if they went to school for at one point. So what are you telling me? Every one of these people who are in the house to have someone understand the history of what we've been through, So what are we here saying, Kalonji? Because I guarantee
I'm
20
calling
years
upon our
later,
people.
20 years later, when maybe 70s, plus later, maybe 70s, I'm going to be listening and be rocking share with a big chalice and just listen to the same nonsense they're talking, because this is the reality, because me not butt up things in a virgin, because the masses don't want what you're saying. They want to stay under England. They want they love these things. You want to take comfort out of people's mouth. And no, they're not gonna do that. See these are the reality, and that. Yes, it is. How long you been speaking like this? The masses, I don't think the masses
For
want
years.
help.
But hear me, hear what I said to you, brother. Marcus Garvey
Yes.
said years ago that when everything else failed to organize the people, the conditions will. And I'm saying the conditions is here. They don't want to do it, I agree with you. But they're going to be forced to do it. Trust me, I'm confident that we're going to be victorious and we're going to unite. I'm confident of that. Because I see what is taking place. And I'm saying force, make water go uphill. And we people have no other choice but to unite because it's being forced on us. Donald Trump is the main driver of that and what is taking place on the geopolitical scene. Because you could see from the bombing of Iran, right? Even the people who oppose the Iranian government is in solidarity with the government at this present time. So I am confident, brother, that it will take place. And we have the same principles of Kwanzaa as our guide. So trust me, ain't gonna be long, you ain't gonna be there smoking your chalice and we unite. I'm guaranteeing you that we will
And you see, can we
unite.
come fight?
I'm
And you see,
confident of
can
that.
even come together to grow food? If you can't come together to grow food, the most simplest and most important fuel for our survival, we can't commit to that. Food, Food, we can't even commit to that. What else? If we can't commit to saving ourselves when it comes to planting food, my virgin, you think I gonna accept something else these leaders saying? Come on,
Well,
it's
hear what
war
I'm
going on,
saying to
The
you.
most important thing is food, How can you trust the people who can't commit to go to feed themselves? They're not showing the interest. They have just cleaned over 300 acres of land there to sit down plant hot pepper. From my understanding, they don't have pepper settlers yet, but they're gonna plant potato, pumpkin, and other crops. So when they go plant all in crops there, what the farmers them gonna plant? Where all the food they're gonna sell, they plant hundreds of acres of sweet potato and pumpkin and other crops to accommodate hot pepper that in when the reality is not conducive. I'm saying all this, our government is not looking out for the interests of the people, my virgin. That you speak so well of, because when in a sense, because this don't make no sense, because you're gonna have projects going on for building homes, and you're gonna bring a company from outside to do the work. When you say that we have a way of building our homes ourselves, and everybody benefit, the material is supplied here. You see what I mean? We could have done build those homes already. Give 400 contractors, 300 contractors. Who cares? The same with the Bastia High School. How are you going to support the work outside? It doesn't make no sense, Virgin. We sell blocks. So use some of the same panel farm and pour the concrete and say we do these things in Davis and in sink it. This is not a new skill. These are nonsense what the Prime Minister is doing. It's crap. We not endorse them things because if we had the Bastille High School doing by our own people and we had all them 2,400 homes built in Virgin, we would not have enough work to keep in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm telling you. I know that. So right there, I know. The same thing with agriculture. Right now, Mr. Samal is over in Germany at a ganja conference or whatever. Well, where do they going to come back and tell the people? Did he say where he going? He no work with, guarantee no work with a technician. You have to work with a technician. One or two of them are the peers of agriculture. So when you're going, you work with a member of the Cannabis Authority, somebody from there, but not so you go for travel bridging. Because there's a situation here where cannabis is not moving forward and he not utter a word, but yet again a ganja conference. Well, where you come back and tell the people. But this doesn't make no sense to me. You see, this is a Dolly House thing. This is a Dolly House thing, Bridget. Huh? This makes no sense.
So what I'm saying that the masses need to get organized to push them to these
you keep saying what you're saying. But what you're saying, now add up. You see, in a whole water run out the basket. Because I keeping it realist. Me got my 6-year-old listening to me, you know. And when me don't talk, she said, Dad, what you talking about? I can't understand what I say. So not just tell me what you keep saying, because what you're saying ain't tangible. Me tell you this, the people, the economy, again, the economy, you know, here, yeah.
I agree.
This thing the Prime Minister went for this week, with this today, what do you call it, a press conference for 30-35 minutes. If people that have money, they can't go shop. With $100 or $2, you can't buy a sweetie. You still look at it. You have to put stimulus in the people's pocket. That's how you rise above. If people don't have, you can put all the breaks you want. If the money run, people can't enjoy these things, my virgin. Right now, this is like a recession. Me not ask you. I know that, and we all know that. So what these things are is these not help people. You have to have money circulating. You have to create jobs. Then people can enjoy these kind of things. But if you ain't creating the jobs and the money flow, they can't enjoy these things, my virgin. So that's what I'm asking you. Is our people the problem? Me can't left here and can't solve the problem again in Africa. Because Africa are here too, you know. That's how me see things. You know. Everywhere where people are is Africa. That's how me see it. You see what I mean? Good. So let we fix the problem. Let we hold our leaders accountable. Both Nevis and Sink it. Them who got us in a hostage. Nobody got us in a hostage, Virgin. Nobody got us in a hostage by our own people. Them are the problem. So let we come as a people and unite, and let we be a part of the executive. We're supposed to be a part of the decision making when it comes to leading. This is election coming up, and we're going to hold each and every one responsible. Why go on and win our food?
You know what I like
son?
You know what I like with this exchange is the fact that even though I'm hearing Bankie side, I'm also hearing Kalonji side as well, because at the end of the day, what Bankie is saying, we need to hold them accountable. However, they are continuing what Kalonji is saying, because they are the ones, people who look like me and you, who are perpetuating that same old colonial system. That is what the major problem is. And we are not recognizing, and again, that's part of the problem. And this discussion is seeking to help to enlighten people on that as much as possible. Because at the end of the day, look at where we are in 2026. I'm hearing Kalonji talking about that one nation and so on, and we got to come together and overcome this thing. But at the same time, I'm seeing Bankie's position, because the reality is, here we are in 2026, and we still have politicians who we are running up and down and seeking to elect, who then, after we become enemies and not talking to our brothers and uncle and auntie and so on, these politicians still play allegiance to King Charles, his heirs and successors, and don't play any allegiance to us. And we, in terms of seeking to move away from that, the next step, so to speak, would be to become a republic. We are not even hearing that in the discussion in the so there's no serious move
Yahsonn,
to really move away
didn't your
from
Prime Minister say you're going to move into a republic
yeah.
before his time finish? Didn't your Prime
He
Minister
said
say
that
before
about
his
4
term
years
finishing?
ago. He said that about 3-4 years ago, like he would have said a number of things. And I mean, you know, there's so many little things that I want to touch on in between here, but then we also have the comments from the listeners and some of the questions and so
Yeah,
on.
get in the comments
But
them. Get in the comments.
yeah, I'm going to do that in just a bit. But get back to a point that one of you all were talking about, that the Prime Minister came from a conscious home and so on. And I heard him the other day, seemingly like he was crying. I see him take his kerchief to wipe his eyes, and so when he was saying that his mother is a Rasta and so on, and he would have made this big both him and the AG and I guess the government on a whole, I'm hearing, making this big announcement that St. Kitts and Nevis is the first to, you know, legally craft out a space for Rastafari, which I saw some pushback from Jamaica to say no. But in reality, from the legal side of it, St. Kitts and Nevis is first. There's recognition for Rasta, but in terms of from the parliament, from in cabinet, St. Kitts and Nevis is the first. However, I say that to say this still. Even though the Prime Minister is claiming that he can be with Rastafari, we are still seeing today, Mr. Prime Minister, two prominent Rastafari in Nevis was and is still being dragged in front of the court for the same cannabis issue that you are speaking about, for the same issue when we hear you speak about respecting of the Constitution, for the same issue that Sankofa would have taken the police commissioner to court for, and a lot of the arguments that you are making in terms of public safety and health and all of that were argued by the former defendants in Sankofa's case. And the judge, after hearing all those arguments, and even the arguments that's been presented by the AG and so on, the present AG, the Judge Ventos in Sankofa case would have respectfully told them, I hear all of that, and I hear that you all have to adhere to drug act that you are signing on to, a narcotics act, an international act, and all of these things. However, none of these things supersedes the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis. So it means that you have to go back and amend whatever act or convention that you sign on to that is infringing upon the constitutional rights of Rastafari. And they're
But
still
Yahsonn,
seeking to find ways and means to suppress Rastafari. So as I hear that, I just wanted to interject that into the discourse so
Yahsonn,
that we are educating people this evening. Yes, Bankie, we're educating people, so I just want
didn't
to
you
make
see
sure
the
that we
Prime
put.
Minister talk about the same thing there in the red when he was campaigning? Oh, this when he went travel to Germany and he traveled to this place and that place. That the problem is that they never do nothing about the Sankofa case, brethren. You hear the man there says so, the man do nothing. He says so, you hear him say so,
And,
so the man excuse
and,
he
and that is
he
not,
understand it and
and
he
that
in
is
there
not
right now
no, I'm not
still.
making any excuse, you know. I am not making any excuse.
Oh,
I'm highlighting the fact that this is what was done. Because as he's
yes, well
saying that
he
his
know.
mother, but he's still suppressing Rastafari. Because the reality
But he know
is
what you do, yes, son.
Sankofa
That's what he
never
know what you do.
Sankofa never took the commissioner of
The
police to
man
court
says
for no
so.
medical cannabis.
But he know that
Sankofa's
too.
case wasn't about medical cannabis. It was about
Yes, son.
spiritual or religious use of cannabis and the
But
rights of privacy so that the police can't come and invade. You got a caller?
no. What I'm saying, what happening right now, where we on the Sankofa case, we just regurgitating, the evidence is there. You giving me certificate. Me no need it. You can't tell me can't because I got a million herb tree. That is my right. Because the Rastafari Recognition Act give me that right. So the police and them and the commissioner of police and all them not and the all them know these things. But they do me a favor. So even since now, who want to register. Who no want to register, they just got to know what the rights be, make up their mind to sue the government and stand on your rights. But it's all about control, my virgin. You see me show you? Yeah, about control. I listened advisor from the Prime Minister spoke on his Sunday show and spoke about some stuff. But what they failed to when the overs, oh, you could have 5 trees, but they still tell you, oh, if they still take up your 5 trees, if you have 1 tree, take up your 1 tree. So all these different media houses talking this stuff, just being dishonest. He have nothing to do with no 5 tree and a 6 tree and a 10 tree. Where they got 1 tree bigger than you over 6 feet. The police them taking up your tree. These are the reality. So depending on who's speaking not speaking the clarity, they're speaking to suit them agenda. I have no agenda. I have no interest in getting involved in this medical cannabis industry because all plants are medicinal to me. I don't need no all of a sudden no so-called politician and doctor could come tell me how me live all my life. That the same plant may use the fight against all of a sudden now is medicinal. Well, we're different between soursop and sugar apple and breadfruit, not medicinal bitter and grass. You think I tend to entertain with these people? So I have no interest in this medical cannabis industry. Who want to get involved? I support them because our people should benefit first and should benefit only. No one need to come inside here to grow no cannabis. Period. So don't tell me if training is needed, fine. All you need is equipment, the resources are there, and that's a simple thing. Ain't nothing difficult. So we don't need to make things difficult because we have scientists up by the bio standard, the same machineries them are there. We have Stuart Laplace, we have brilliant chemists around here. So I don't need people to tell me or bring people overseas. I sit amongst all the best and we have the best of the best around here. So no come tell me no crap. Okay? Oh, people to the best of the best schools. All right? I've been in and out of all the labs around here. And stand up and walk along asking the people from all different Caribbean countries. Our people think it's navies are the best of the best. All right? We smile, but we talawa. So I don't want to be entertained when callers say, oh, no, we can do it. I know that. I travel with the cabinets, I see, and when I travel, they listen to me. I may smile fry. I know, and I got more who got more geniuses than me. So I know the talent of my people. So they gonna fool me. I gonna stand for my people only, and that's it. Nobody in the community gonna go to cannabis and make all the money. Let our people who want to get involved, get involved. I content
But
with my holy
what
supplement.
about the RA saying?
Yes,
Throughout all
yes,
the administration them. They prefer to bring
yes.
somebody from overseas than use local people. I do not
Yeah,
understand
but let
it.
we stop it. But let we stop it.
That's
Let
what
we
I'm
stop it. Let me
saying.
send a
The
serious
only way to
message.
stop it
That's
is
it.
that we got to unite. We have to
Well, of
unite, my
course.
brother. You know? So that's what I'm calling for.
Right.
But all what you're
So
saying,
Yes.
I am in agreement with.
Beautiful.
totally. And here's what I'm calling for. I'm calling for all who's logged on right now. Take 10 seconds, go on over to the YouTube platform, click on the notification bell, subscribe, like, share. I'm loving what I'm seeing in the comments section. I'm gonna get into the comments in a bit, but I'm gonna take 30 seconds as well and also pay some tribute to our sponsors. Islander Water Sports. Yes, people, you want to move between St. Kitts and Nevis? Islander Water Sports is that boating facility for you to tap into. 6 to 7 minutes from Oli, straight over to Reggae Beach, and vice versa. If you want special charters, they're available. Even if it's late night, you hit up my boy Plug Eye
662
and
Yahsonn
the other members of the team.
7081. 662
Give out the number
7081
again.
the telephone number. 662
662-7081.
7081. Yeah,
Six
you
six
can
two
put it.
seven zero eight one. That's the numbers. If you really
20.
want a charter, Islander, tell them that you heard it right here on the topics. Let
Yes.
them know that you
Yes,
heard
I.
it here on the topics. Also, Shaba's Organics, that's where Mansa's last stop is on Cadesby. If you're driving or traveling in that region, be sure to stop in. If it's one place I need, you could always get vegetables and fruits and in the kitchen sometimes they've got a lot of things popping in the kitchen. So what you don't see asked for, just stop by Mansa's last stop. And if you're thinking of hiking or touring around the island of Nevis, yes, and you want to move around in style and class, link up Imperial Rides, Taxi and Tours here on Nevis, and we get you around in style. In the meantime, here are some of the comments. Man, we have an active comment line this evening. I'm sure that there's a lot of things that we might not be able to answer to, but we want to make sure that we give our listeners online their, recognition, because without them, we would be here, and it might seem like we're talking to ourselves, but they're letting us know that we're not talking to ourselves, that they're listening and they're participating. So, we got. I'm telling you, we have some real challenging, discussions and questions in here. So let me see. Bye. Lot of comments inside here tonight by Bankie. Okay. So
Read
let
up
me start
Yahsonn.
from this one.
Just read.
Yeah, no, I was trying to get back to where the last one came back. Okay, so I'm here now. Okay. So Slaughterhouse says we have to glorify the slave masters and colonizers to this day and make sure their stories are displayed. Slaughterhouse says yes, there's a mosque here already, but I think Bankie's point is, why is this one being constructed where it is slated to be, and
Yes,
why
I.
such magnitude? Okay, you see the people
Yes.
listening. Mighty
Yeah,
Servant
man.
says, Shabazz, you cannot dictate to your guest what he should speak of unless he was asked to speak on a particular subject and is trained, but allow him the courtesy to give his views. Okay. Banky, you hit the nail
Yes,
on the
I.
head. Money is being given to the government from the Islamic countries. Kalonji, Mighty Servant says, Kalonji, in speaking to secession in the 1860s, is neither here nor there, because during that time it wasn't even statehood. They were fighting about issues concerning the English crown, different to the 113. Mighty Servant says, Kalonji, in speaking to. Okay, that's the same comment. Bubba Love says, hello, in Nevis, it was not a color system, it was a class system. So, who is the people who were left out in that class system? Or there was another system existing on our island? Hmm. Deslin Sargent says, I agree with Bankie. Why such a huge structure? There is not enough of a Muslim community to justify this. Mighty Servant says, but then again, it sounds like you're
Very true.
saying the hospital was being extended by Brantley since 1860. Kind of seems so based on how long Alexandra has been under construction. Bubba Love, and he laughed. That's a light moment. Um, Bubba Love says, and that other system was educationally removed. Granny did not go to high school, but yet we were the ones who became a fool. High level conversation, Dan Hero says. Sherry Libert says, yes, Kalonji, talk the things and and let those who have eyes to see and ears hear. John Doe says, big facts, Banky. Pedro Gemot says, who want to fight for non-crimes about 400 years ago while ignoring present-day oppression on its citizens? Mighty
Yes,
Servant says,
I.
Shabazz, one thing you should learn is the culture of our people when it comes to work. Let's face it. Look at public workers. Public works workers work doing a road versus how sorry paving work when doing a road. Okay, Banky. Yeah, sorry. Sherry Libert says, Banky, you're going off topic. Mighty Servant says, whilst it's good to have your people working, it must come with a level of discipline when it comes to working. Bubba Love says everyone vexed with Trump are looking out heavily for America and America only. We need leaders to look out for our lands the same way our lands are our bloodlines. We must preserve it. Pedro Gemot says better recognize the same thing happened for the Europeans to purchase property, slaves. Mighty Servant says leadership is one thing, but the people must also be held responsible. People sometimes run from their responsibility by blaming the leader. The leaders are the people are the leaders. Banky, dig deep. That's he were done. It says Banky, dig deep. Big homie, food is independence. Bubba Love says, so let me ask, we are seeking justice from the English court while asking to separate from the English court. Pedro Gemot says, not only Rastafari, but citizens. I think he's talking about when we were talking about the cannabis, but the only difference I want to highlight there, Pedro Jamat, is that yes, the Constitution speaks to all citizens having that right, but also they made a carve out specifically for Rastafari by recognizing Rastafari as a religion and recognizing cannabis as a sacrament, which kind of carves out a specific space for Rastafari, which is different, so to speak, from all other citizens. Bubalov says, you know how many Rastaman these English regimes government murdered in the Caribbean, and they had islands that actually said remove a Rasta head with locks, and we ask in the same court justice. Great, because we're talking about the Dread Act in Dominica. You could talk about Bustamante in Jamaica with the Coral Garden event and so on. Pedro Jamat says, because they don't trust the judgment the CCJ may give. Boba Love, I'm telling you, we have some interesting comments. The people are really in tune, the people are engaged.
Yes, sorry.
I'm really impressed and love the fact that we are getting these kind of responses. Burby Jones says the BHS and that housing scheme should have gone to the local contractors to generate money in the local economy. A shame how the Prime Minister says that construction started on the BHS where and when. Hero says, Yahsonn, you are a man of conscious spiritual logical reasoning, true sense of the Mayat universal balance. Yes, give thanks. Burby Jones says, what your eyes see, you must believe. Who can tell me that they see action at the Basti High School site? LOL. I see the hospital. Sorry, Burby Jones says, I see the hospital add-on as one putting on a bedroom on the house, taking long, sir. Okay. So yeah, people, I want to say give thanks to all of you who are participating via your comments. I'm really happy that you guys are engaged, and I want to encourage you, like I said, to make sure before you leave, subscribe to the platform, click on the notification bell, share and like. And I want to say again, give thanks to Islander Water Sports, the good folks there at On the Rocks Restaurant there as well, and all of the other services that they offer. And the number is 662-7081, you said, Bankie?
Yes, right, yes.
662-7081. That's the number to call
Yeah.
if you want to get in touch with the good folks. If you want to do a chat, a late night chat, or whatever it is, you give them a call, let them know that you heard it right here on Real Entertainment Network. We are going to be getting closer to that wrap up time. And so we're going to, Bankie, if there's another question you want to shoot to Kalonji, anything you want to add in, and then we give Kalonji an opportunity to make some closing remarks. And I'm hopeful that Kalonji, based on the feedback that we are seeing, that I'm sure that the folks would want you back on the platform. So we're going to have to, get your confirmation that you're open to come back on the platform. And we could arrange some other time to have you back to have a part 2 or a follow-up of, such discussion. So Bankie, over to you, and then, give Kalonji the opportunity to wrap up.
Well, Kalonji, what is in place when it comes to recruiting younger people to be a part of the reparation committee and stuff like that? And what are your plan when it comes to, if any organization in welcoming young people when it comes to the African consciousness and knowing themselves and who they are? Because definitely our leaders and our educational system is not going along that line. We still regurgitating the same Nancy Bonancy story and called Jumper Moon over the moon and all this different stuff, and Jingle Bell and all this different stuff. Same old same for over 100 years. Nothing changes. So what do you want to say the young ones them listening to the sound of your voice?
Well, my brother, as you said that, I don't know if you're aware that I wrote to the Prime Minister concerning fines, governor fines. I grew up in McKnight in St. Kitts, and that was Tibu Avenue. And Fines Avenue is 1 block away from Tibu Avenue. I grew up there where I didn't know any history about Fines Avenue. But during my research, I find out that Governor Fines was the governor of the Leeward Islands from 1921 to 1929. And he emphatically stated, I have the documents, that black people should learn to read. Now this is the governor of the Leeward Islands here. I wrote to the Prime Minister concerning changing the name. And up to now I haven't got no response. I'm just trying to show you. And that was what, about 2 years now, I think. It's more than a year for sure. But I'm just trying to show you. Look at Warner Park, right? You know, this is the 400th anniversary of the genocide of the native people of this country. This is also the 400th anniversary of the first enslaved Africans coming to St. Kitts from Senegal. What I'm saying to you, brothers and sisters, these things are documented. Look at the clock in the circus, the Berkeley Memorial, right? It's a tribute to Berkeley because he was a legislator. But he was also a slave master. He had 5 plantations in St. Kitts, right? Greenland's being one of them, one of the most prominent. So I'm saying to you is that our history, the documentation is there about these things. The battle for Sandy Point, the battle for Frigate Bay, and also in Zetlands in Nevis, where you call Maroon Hill, one of the first battles that can go back to 1706, where the slave defeated the European army on the battlefield. You know, and what I'm saying that all these things are not included, as you say, in our education system. They're still talking about Columbus, Columbus discovery and all these kind of things. These things need to be changed. So I'm saying to you, the reason why I raised the whole question about secession is that through we've been indoctrinated by British colonization, we have not come out of that. We are still a colonized people. So I'm saying to you, just like you just said, all these things need to be rectified. But it could only be rectified if the people are organized. And that's what we don't have. So that's what we want to create. Because once we organize, we could force the leadership to do it. If they don't want to do it, then we could replace them. That's all. But what is lacking, my brother, is organization. And we have to come with a national consciousness amongst our people to do these things. So that's what I'm engaging, you know, in bringing about this consciousness amongst ourselves, so that our people, the generation unborn, you know, we have to look out for them so that they can have a clear path. Because generation before us, they struggle for us to be here today. And like I said before, Brother Lumberbrat, I see the work that he did, one of my main teachers, and the sacrifice that he made, you understand, for me now to be here, to expounding on what he taught me, is that I have to get somebody else. We as brothers and sisters, we have to get younger people who coming forward to carry on the struggle, you know. But like I said, we're at the crossroads, and brothers and sisters, we got to dig in deep because these colonizers want to push us back in trash houses, and we are saying that it's not going to happen because we are here and we are saying to our leadership, you're either with us or you're against us. You got to make a choice. It's as simple as that, you know.
Yeah, so let me take this call here.
It's much if you having a call, Kalonji, so hold that thought.
Carla, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you fellas. Good evening to you fellas, man. Straight to it. It's kind of ironic that Kalonji just mentioned. I think he mentioned Warner Park, right? Me, I'm a proponent to try to take that name down off of that park, straight up, because for the ones of us who know the history, Sir Thomas Warner, he was a key leader in that 1926 Bloody Point massacre on St. Kitts, along with a French Pierre Belling. You know, we are still worshiping these slave masters and these colonial masters, and we're not making no type of moves at all. We're not even doing nothing revolutionary. Imagine we still have Thomas Warner name on that Warner Park, the biggest park in St. Kitts. It's like we're glorifying these people who has murdered us and pillaged us all those years back then. And it's time for we to do things different than everywhere else. And that name should be removed, just like all those other places in the Federation, where we still have these names of our slave masters.
Beautiful.
Nice to see Kalonji on tonight. Thanks.
I give thanks, Carla, definitely. Yahsonn, definitely, I gotta agree with that, Carla. When it comes to changing all those names around him, Cuddock Road and all them different We don't know who is Craddock. We don't know who that be. So much people in the community have done such great things and stuff like that. Just name the road is our long road. Name every quarter mile after somebody else, so that a long road can have 3 different names and stuff like that at different intervals. Just use people in the community who have contributed in arts, craft, farming, fishing, whatever it is. Just take off all these colonial names. It just shows our leaders, all of them, they're not doing these things unless if they do it, something gonna happen to them. 'Cause I don't know why they're not doing these things. And it doesn't make no sense to
But
me.
Bankie,
But God, yes,
we,
sir.
we highlighted why they are not doing it, because they are seeking to uphold a system that was never designed for us to benefit from, and the only way that system could be perpetuated is if they continue with the divide and rule tactics. If they continue to keep us distracted from getting this kind of information. I mean, look at this point. I mean, it's this year, last year, this year, that the Buckley's revolution was recognized. I mean, after all of the struggle. And so there are steps that are being made. There are things that need to be done, but we need to have more of these type of discussion. A lot more of the people need to be informed about their stories and our stories. And so that's why I think we need to have more of these discussions. And I'm hearing, I'm still seeing comments coming in and so on, and I can tell based on the comments that very, very credible comments, which key into some of the discussions and so on. So I know we'll have to come back. And I mean, personally, there were some questions that I wanted to get into, like, some of the geopolitics and some of the things that's happening around the region, what happened in terms of Venezuela and, your thoughts and things like that. Cuba, Haiti, what's going on in Haiti. I mean, recently the government would have signed some MOU with Guyana recently. So there are a lot of things that we still haven't gotten an opportunity to touch on and weigh in on. So I know that we definitely will have to have a part 2. But I really want to thank you very much for taking up the invitation to come on in. And based on the discussions, I see and know that there is a need for us to have some follow-ups in this regard. And people, just say yes. We're going to give you a minute to say yes while I read all the comments. If you want us to, have a part 2, just say yes. Comment yes. All right? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to read some of these last comments that came in. Sorry, and then Bankie, I'm going to allow you to have your closing and Kalonji to do his closing, and then we wrap up this edition. So, that. Okay, so the last comment I see. So, okay, changing names mean what? Only symbolism. We need greater education and awareness concerning these unknown but recorded bits of history. That's somebody named Rosie Cross saying that. Mighty Servant says, what we are not getting is this. One may write to the PM and says, change the name. And another may write and say, keep the name. Both are from the same place. Whose voice must be the loudest? And I'm saying, but I'm loving these things because we're having critical discussions.
That's a good one.
We're having a discussion and we're having critical, and we have to have objection and objective, viewpoints and so on, which keeps us on our feet thinking. Pedro Gemot says, we removed a statue and changed names, even went republic, however, still remained in the Commonwealth. Good point again. Pedro Gemot, yes. Okay, somebody say yes again. Rosie Cross says yes. Destin Sargent says yes. Okay, so that people want us to do a part 2. So
Yes,
Kalonji, you're definitely gonna have to come back. Mighty Servant says, here's a thought. We change the names and I support that. But then we keep the streets dirty and the parks messy. What did we change? Okay. So these are things for us to have some introspection, to look into ourselves and see how we appreciate our surroundings and keep our surroundings and so forth. Bubba Love says, we are not proactive people, we are more reactive, so we can upgrade daily. Many want to stay the same way all the time. Darren Challenger says, more, yes. So, okay, so we're getting a lot of yeses as we wrap up and we close off for this evening. Bankie, I'm going to give you your closing statement, and then we're going to give maybe we can do it the other way. Give the guests the closing statement, and then we have you wrap up, Bankie, and add anything that you want, and then I have a closing. So, Kalonji, enough respect. As you can realize, the people definitely want to hear from you again, and they love the engagement. And so definitely we look forward to having you back. Your closing.
Yes, yes, my brothers. And, I just like to hear up the item for inviting me. It was a great discussion. But I want to end with some words from the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey and His Majesty. The political readjustment of the world means that those who are not sufficiently able, not sufficiently prepared, will be at the mercy of the organized classes for another 100 or 200 years. The only protection against injustice in man is power, physical, financial, and scientific. Education is the medium by which a people are prepared for the creation of their own particular civilization and the advancement and glory of their own race. Nationhood is the only means by which modern civilization can completely protect itself. Now, the brother make a comment there saying that we change the name but the place remain the same. But the reason why we people dirty up the place as digging into our history is that there wasn't feel a part of it during colonial days. So they just used to show things all over the place. We have to change that dynamic in the sense that we people have to be re-educated. But as I close with a quote from His Majesty and African Unity. Unity is the accepted goal. Today we look to the future calmly, confidently and courageously. We look to the vision of an Africa not merely free but united. In facing this new challenge, we can take comfort and encouragement from the lessons of the past. We know that there are differences among us. Africans enjoy different cultures, distinct values, special attributes. But we also know that unity can be and has been attained amongst men of the most desperate origin. The differences of race, of religion, of culture, of tradition are no inseparable obstacles to the coming together of peoples. History teaches us that unity is strength and caution us to submerge and overcome our differences in the quest for common goals, to strive with all our combined strength for the path of true African brotherhood and unity. Give thanks, one love. But Granny said, love one another, unite with one another, self-esteem, self-respect, and self-determination. Revolutionary Pan-Africanism is our philosophy. So, give thanks and one love, brothers and sisters.
Yes, give thanks, Kalonji, and it was really a very informative, educational, and entertaining as well discussion this evening. I think based on the feedback on the wall, the folks also are feeling the same way as well. And so we look forward to having you back for a part 2 in the not too distant future. Bankie, your closing remarks, and then we wrap up.
Yahsonn, first I want to thank Kalonji for taking up the invitation, for being part of the topics, and for having such a broad discussion, lot of wealth of knowledge, and giving a history of where he started his roots when it comes to the country business of traveling overseas and still continuing. So I got to give him the praise and acknowledgement for to continue. He's been doing it since he's 18, and he ain't look 18 no more. He just developed with more wisdom as he age, and it's a beautiful thing that Kalonji. Hopefully one this time the name might change from what you say the gentleman name who said the governor at the same time, and change to Kalonji. Finds Avenue and try to change to your contribution. Hopefully, Prime Minister can do that. You see, but
no, because we have somebody who suggested a lady who used to do business here, Miss Sylvia.
Of course, I'm just
Samuel.
Definitely, yes, just a light moment. Whoever is appropriate, that is fine. But still, probably you'll get a statue somewhere in Boston, maybe up in the Heroes Park or somewhere. But while you're alive, we have one national hero and we're waiting for people to transition when they can't get their flowers. Makes no sense to me.
We also want to change Boston to Marcus of the Wood City. Because that's a national hero. You see what I'm saying? You're right.
Yes, so I just want to thank those who tuning in and sharing their comments and for who call and stuff. We greatly appreciate that. Remember, this Friday coming up, we're going to have Victoria and Sydney Bocom over there in St. Kitts, which is of the Earth Organic Farm. And then next week, Tuesday, we'll have Hero Shango. We'll be talking about fitness and African spirituality and stuff like next week Tuesday. For definitely we continue the discussion next week Tuesday on the topics,
Well,
and then on the Friday gonna get your next week Friday get your boy Naya, and then we wrap up the last Tuesday in the month, which is gonna be on the 28th. That will be a no hold bars coming up. We're gonna have our guest, none other than Dwyer Astafan. We leave that for the end of the month, the 28th. So definitely looking that forward for that reasoning, Yahsonn. I mean, Dwyer himself have a lot of knowledge and stuff like that, and the commentary. So definitely looking for that reason. So April is jam packed, and we're going to start off May with some different guests. But just we're giving you a rundown on the guests of this month. So this Friday coming up will be Victoria and Sydney. Then next week Tuesday we have Hero Shango. We speak about African spirituality and stuff like that, and farming. And then Friday we get Ras Naya. You know, Naya have passed on a lot of knowledge when it comes to welding and stuff like that through the community, and employ many people, and still a part of the host when it comes to Tuesday at the Let's Talk. And then the last Tuesday of this month we have Dwyer Astafan. So I want to thank everyone for tuning into Real Entertainment and continue giving their support. This show is nothing, it's a community show, and it's nothing without you guys tuning in and giving the support. So it's our love to each and every one of you and stuff like that. And every
well,
opinion is valid here, and that's why we love it. Yahsonn?
well, Bankie, here's what's happening here. I think Islander water sport services will be happy to know that we are given an extra 10 minutes. So we are
Yes.
afforded an extra 10 minutes. I guess we had a little rocky start at the beginning, and there are people still on the
Plus, we have a
platform.
video. We have a video, but the video ain't uploaded, so we're gonna upload the video. So next we play the video, but we have a video that showed the everything of the businesses and stuff like that at the port. So we just give a little apologize. The technician is in at the right spot right now, but we'll get it started out. But
Right.
so we're just giving
And that's
the vocals for now.
that's another reason why we are gonna have this extra 10 minutes as well, to make sure that everything is good and dandy behind the scenes. And so we're
Yes.
gonna make sure we go through this section and also give those who seemingly still on the wall, because Bankie, most of the people who are here have not moved in, even though we're saying we're wrapping up, right? People are not moving, and so we want to make sure that
Beautiful.
yes, you have an extra 10 minutes, so you can, if you wanted to drop a comment in or you want to call in still, the number is 869-662-7196. So that's 1-869-662-7196. You got 10 minutes, so if you want to call in and weigh in just before we wrap up, you can do that. Bulby Jones says, respect to the brothers. Thanks, Kalonji, the educator, for coming on. Great information. Great show, brethren. Sherry Libert says. Bulby Jones says, Pan-African educator. Pedro Gemot says, until the philosophy which holds one way superior and another inferior, there's war.
Yes, sorry.
Mighty Servant says, we are excusing our people's bad habits too much, just like the parents who doesn't correct their children and then they end up in prison. We need to shoulder our responsibilities for our actions.
Yes, sorry.
And Pedro Gemot says, give thanks and guidance. And so, yes, people, Islander Water Sports, want to say give thanks for coming on board and sponsoring the topics. Also want to say a special thank you to Shabazz Organics. You can always go over to Shabazz Organics and there must be something available. It might be sugar cane, it might be cassava, it might be bananas,
Yes,
it might be carambola. Something is always available on the farm. And if it's not on the farm, you might be able to get some jelly water freshly cut from the, you might be able to get something from the kitchen, because they're cooking up, and it's not just ital cooking, they have a full kitchen. You can get oxtail and all those kind of things and so over there. So check out Shabazz Organics at Mansa's last stop. They're at Cades Bay. And also, if you want to, move around, you need some taxi service, you need some tour service, you need to take a hike, you need to go to the waterfalls or Nevis Peak or whatever it is. We can organize and help to get that done for you. If you want to do a tour, if you want to come over and spend some time on Shabba's Organics Farm and chill out and feel the energy, we can get that organized for you as well. And we can, get a group, if you want to do a group tour on the farm and learn, some things while you're there, we can always organize that. So you can check out Imperial Rides, Taxi and Tours right here on Nevis. And so, folks, we got a couple more minutes to wrap things up. Bankie, as we're wrapping up, I want to, how we started, we spoke a little bit about the folks who came out and supported the march on Friday. And I really want to, go back to that a little bit, because as the topic this evening is all about unity, it was a demonstration of unity. It wasn't just Rastafari. It wasn't just Nivisions. It was, a combination of folks coming over from St. Kitts, along with people here on the island, Rastafari brothers and sisters, and individuals who just came out and support. We had people like Ryan Kadu for True Vibes and Red Ibis, who would have contributed significantly. I mean, see, we're still here down in the shirts. No ganja, no vote, simple rules. And if you want to still be a part of the mission, see, Bankie is wearing it as well. You want to be a part of the mission, you can contact Bankie.
It's the uniform.
You can contact Bankie anytime. They're available at $50, and you can still support. And or if you're in Nevis and are coming over to Nevis, you can have your own print as well. It doesn't have to be that way. You can design your own, and you can step into True Vibes Designs. They're located opposite the Charlestown Fire Station, or where Nevlek, where you pay your bills there. You look over there and you must see that t-shirt printing business. Go on out and check them out, support them, tell them that you heard about them here on Real Entertainment Network and the Topiks. And so, enough respect to all of those people. I mean, what my brethren Ras helpful, DJ Woodis, who was very, very instrumental in terms of the music and the DJ, and everybody who would have played their part. The people who came out and rally, DJ Marisha, who would have organized and helped to book the date and all that. Everybody who would have contributed, it was an effort. It was an effort. I'm sure a lot of people didn't think that we might have had, the numbers that we would have had. And then in terms of all of those who were not able to make it on a Friday afternoon, because it was 2:30 to 5:30, so people would have been working. So we understand all of that as well too. But those who would have made it their business to log on, like they're logged on right now, and whether it's YouTube or Facebook or wherever we were streaming, we truly appreciate you guys, and we appreciate the kind words and the support for not just Bankie and not just Jammer, even though we want the support, and not just Nubian, who was there present as well, and the members of the PAM party who yes, sir.
Let me get in this again, because it's while we were marching Friday, there was a situation where the police still going around terrorizing the young people, and made arrests the same Thursday that we didn't know of, till I get some call from the parents and let him know the situation what happened and stuff like that. So even though we're here speaking about this thing, the same team, and then the stuff that they did to these young people is remarkable. I mean, these police officers advantaging the young public in Nevis, and I call out the premier, because this is wrong. You tell me Thursday leading up to the Friday, these people harassing young people, you understand, for 12 trees, you understand, and giving them $10,000 bail. I got 13 trees, Jamaica got 20, and we get $5,000 bail. Well, how the match they work out so? So who fooling who? The same set of police officers on them, and then making a mockery of the people in the house. But let it continue. Coming out, stop, I will not stop, because it seems like they're getting more mad. But If these police don't have nothing to go shoot monkey, as the police commissioner said to when we call it the consultant spoke that the police got nothing to do, and they still want to go on and harass people over some cannabis when the cannabis minister Ghana Germany and a cannabis conference. We're gonna come back and say more people get locked up, because that we're gonna talk about, because election coming up, and I saw the young people now go support this. This is a different generational different time. This is a different time now, Virgin.
Let me interject here. Let's say that
Go ahead,
the police is saying,
sorry.
The police is saying it's the law, right? Slavery, our enslavement was the law, So when you want to tell me that I shouldn't escape from the plantation, is our enslavement was the law? It was a law that because we were property. You see? So when you hear them talking about it is the law, it's a colonial law. And everything that we are doing is based on colonialism. So we are saying that we have to change that. The mindset of our people is a colonized one. So that's all I have to say, my brother. Because I have to go now, you know what I mean? I really have to go.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, man,
yes.
no respect.
Whenever you want to do the next show, just let me know.
I'll reach out to you, Kalonji. Enough respect.
I truly appreciate the time. Yes, man. Yeah, Bankie, I mean, I want to give thanks. I want to give thanks to Kalonji. I want to give thanks to all who are still logged on and listening.
You can log out, Kalonji.
You can log out whenever you're ready, Kalonji. Right?
Good.
Just click on the phone button. Well, you look as if you got it sorted out. So yes, yeah, man. Somebody asked when was the law changed? What law is that? But constitutionally, we have our rights, and what Sankofa's case would have highlighted is that our rights has been trampled and were trampled and for a number of years, even prior to his case. And so what I'm not understanding is the fact that even though these guys would have gone and recognized that this case would have highlighted that we have not just a privilege, we have constitutional rights, and seemingly they are willing and are still going about disrespecting the constitutional rights. And I guess we would have to agree that they are abetted by those who are supposed to be putting the laws together and making sure that the regulations are in place and making sure that these things are not happening. So it's two arms of government who are playing games, and at the end, it's us, the masses, who are suffering, the same people who would have taken them to court and would have proven that all of the arguments that they are presenting hold no water. So, it's interesting. It seems as if Bankie, we have to go back and take another constitutional case. It seems as if that is what it is going to take. And, it's sad to some extent, because when other cases are being victorious, it means that it's going to be our taxes that's going to have to pay. Because the state, if they're going to have to pay, they're going to be using our taxes. So why is it that you want to put, us through that still at this point? But seemingly that's what they want to do. So, Bankie, I mean...
Yahsonn, what's going on right now in Nevis, where these police officers going around, is bad enough. You might be on the beach somewhere chilling by yourself, and they're seeing you, you buy some bar where the bar owners and them don't mind you in an area where you're smoking a tobacco or whatever it is. But police officers just walking around, it give you a ticket where the owners of the premises have the issue with it. It shows that we are moving backwards, my brethren. There are hotels that have smoking room, restaurants that have smoking area. They ask this thing, do you want a non-smoking area, smoking room? So if we're going to move towards an environment, which these are fine, but then you have to have areas designated and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Because for years, people have been around beach bars smoking the cigarettes with no issue for hundreds of, let me say, decades. Because growing up with people around here for over 30, 40 years. So why all of a sudden now it's the biggest thing? it's not taboo. Just put designated area, that is fine. But don't hold the whole island hostage because you have a few people on the streets here smoking here and there and whatever. Ain't that serious? Because it's way beyond smoking. There are people who use cannabis oil for so many different reasons. You understand? So we know better,
And
but we use.
guys,
Go ahead.
seemingly, they only targeting the cannabis smokers, because I'm looking to see if anybody can get ticketed for smoking cigarette or smoking tobacco or BD or anything like that in the public. Yeah, take the card.
Carlo, good evening.
Yeah, Shabazz.
Yes.
Something you said prompted me to call.
Yes.
You said some parents reached out to you because the police, they were raiding. Let's use that term. That you didn't say that, but I'm saying that.
Yes.
My question is, I have a concern, and it's a twofold concern.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I definitely abhor, detest, and would like to call out police for their behavior generally when they the way they engage the public overall.
Yes.
But I also have a concern because I said to myself that the fact that you said parents, I'm wondering if these are minors.
No.
Because I have a serious concern.
No, adults, young adults. When I say adults,
adults.
Yeah, in the 20s, under 30.
Okay.
Yes.
I just have to clear that because I do have a serious concern because right now, I growing up when I see the elder Rasta man them, the whole hub was sacred.
Of course.
It was something that they cherish.
Yes.
They protected it. They cared for.
Yes.
And it was dear to them. But I see right now we have a serious situation, and to me, it is targeted. It is like now that the herb is becoming more acceptable, it seems as if they are just throwing it into the community, and so people are balling up everywhere with no respect for the whole herb. And for them, it is just a joy. It is not getting, as the elder Rastaman would have said, a meditation. It was not a sacrament. It was not like how the Indians would have said, we're smoking with pride, we're connecting with the ancestors. For them, they're just balling up for balling up sake, and they're balling up with all kind of things in the herbs. Some have to put in this and some have to put in that. And we have to be mindful of that part of it too. Because we just get carried away with saying we have to legalize the herb when we realize our people are not being properly utilizing the herb, and they're not educated, and the herb is one aspect of the society. They see if they get influence, maybe the North American, the European influence. Let's get high. Let's just pop some weed, ball up. So everywhere you see them, the first thing you see their fingers.
But Carla, out of the weed and the amount of alcohol consumed daily, which one we shut a blind eye to? Because the alcohol making millions and millions of dollars, and we don't even touch the part there.
Put the phone closer to the thing, Bankie. Put the phone closer.
Yes.
Where it's called in the battle.
Bring it back over some more, Bankie.
See that young man running scared? His old man is in the battle because he saw when the decriminalizing of alcohol, how it affected the black community. Our people were just in the battle. Right now, we have to be mindful that when we see the decriminalization and the eventual legalization of the marijuana herb, our people are just thinking that they're popping it for the popping its sake and not getting the full essence, lack of the education, and where the ancient people, the ancestors, the Rasta man, them used to use it and why they use it.
Of course.
Spirituality.
Yes, I.
There's a remarkable difference in the church, even in the church system, which I don't really, I've been to the church, but the way they use that communion is alcohol, you know?
Yes.
But there's a remarkable difference in where they use that alcohol to how they use it in the bar shop. So we have to be mindful that we have to let the spiritual aspect of the herb be the predominant thing in the society rather than just the recreational aspect of it. And the recreational aspect of it is becoming more predominant than the spiritual aspect of it. So we have to be mindful of that too. We cannot just be sentimental and emotional about we need the herb legalized, and while we are trying to get it legalized, it's just like, not to depart, but it's just like reparations. we're saying we need reparations, but our reparation, the whole etymology of the words means to repair, but our people, by the time we get the reparation, we so damage. The reparations can repair us, because we're not seeking to repair ourselves. So we have to be mindful of that. We can't just seek to say we're going to do one thing and then we're affected by it. It's a wholesome thing. So we cannot be too emotional. We got to be very rational and put reasons before emotion.
Yes, sir.
So we're mindful of them kind of things. Otherwise we lose the fight entirely.
Yes.
We would lose an entire generation, the high, without even contacting the ancestors. They reach the point where and they never get contact with the ancestors. Because they don't get the spiritual high, they get the recreational high. So we have to be mindful of that. But give thanks.
Yeah, man. Appreciated. Yahsonn, that's one thing when young people and other people, they out there having fun by the bars, they're smoking, they're drinking, they're doing all kind of different stuff. And these are some of the issues if we're going to be tackling. So it's beyond the smoke.
But
If
Bankie,
let's say we shut down the alcohol system where we ban alcohol, and you see, I guarantee you, the country, they fall in a recession. In a recession, if you stop selling alcohol bringing the most money in the country.
but
And
Bankie,
if you
you see
realize
what
it,
you know what I'm finding? You know what I'm finding? Even though and I'm loving these points that are being brought up by some of the callers. See as they zoom in and smoking and they're talking about first the caller questioned whether it was underage children and so on that were involved in it, but then he
yes,
spoke to the recreational side of cannabis, and he was, pointing out that we need to be cautious of that aspect and so on. But all of this is also part of the disrespect that is taking place in relation to Rastafari, because Sankofa didn't take them to court for recreational cannabis either. So part of the problem that we're having, you see that same spiritual side that Brethren is talking about, that is what Sankofa took them to court for. That is what they
yes,
thrown in the corner. That is what they're disrespecting when they come and lock up you and lock up Jama. Because that is what Sankofa was arguing for. That one, you ain't got no call to come in our premises to talk about you looking for the cannabis. Because constitutionally we have that right to go and have cannabis. Rastafari from a religious and spiritual perspective. So a lot more of that would have been taking place. Yes, there is the constitutional right for every citizen 18 and older to go and possess cannabis in the private space as well, right? But that is what we were arguing for. The government opted to move with medicinal cannabis and to some extent spoke to recreational cannabis when they went in the house and looked to talk about smoking zones. Now, part of the problem, I don't have a problem with the smoking zones. And the problem that I have right now is that the government is seeking to enforce when they themselves have not identified or put any designated smoking places in place. So here's it: you want to enforce, you want to tell people, you if they catch you out here smoking in the public, when in reality you should have designated smoking areas that you should be able to go to. So on the beach, there should be a designated smoking area where you can go and smoke anything. Now, if you catch them outside of that zone, then and you want to charge them, then you have an issue. But if you don't have that in
so
place,
Yahsonn, so what
yes.
happened to music festival? What happened to music festival?
So
Can remember,
from what I understand, I
yes,
from what I understand, I asked that question. So from what I understand, no business place so far has gotten approval for a smoking zone or to be a 420 friendly space. However, for the music festival, for the past 2 to 3 years, they have been given a temporary non, 420 friendly space. So they've been given
from where?
a
From
temporary
where?
from
Where they get it from?
whoever
So
ministry
the
is
same
supposed to be
ministry,
responsible for it.
so the same
So, he,
ministry
and
that get them,
so
or the government a gate,
So this
or
is
the
the kind
government a
of
gate.
biasness that is taking place. Exactly. The government is giving themselves a temporary
Oh,
pass so that they could make money and have a 420 friendly
mhm.
space, but the public who should be able to benefit and the private businesses who should be able to benefit are not afforded that. And instead of seeking to address that, they're seeking to enforce and lock you up and not lock you up, but charge your money. So this has become like a money-making scheme again that they're playing on the people and affecting the people. And this is why the march on Friday was not just about Bankie and about Jama. It was about all of these issues. It's about those who
all the
were
guys them who get locked up
and are
and
still
charge
being
big money.
harassed and who've been
You
charged all
want the
this
money
money.
drop.
We are
It's gonna
trying
affect the
to
voting, you know.
share this information. Yes, but we're trying to share this information so that you can realize as well that you can do some further research. And then there are a lot of these young liars. I'm wondering why some of these young liars don't take some of these cases pro bono and, I mean, challenge these things constitutionally and or by other means. Anyway, I think that our technician should be ready, and we would have, gone an extra 30 plus minutes. We know that it's a very interesting topic and discussion, and people are still here on the platform as well. So while we're going to wrap up, I just want to tell all of you who are here, before you leave, if you have not subscribed to the platform, click on the subscribe button, click on the notification bell, and share the link too before you leave. Also, we want to say thanks to Islander Water Sports, our new sponsor for the program. Islander Water Sports and the people there at On the Rocks and all of the other services that they offer. The number is 662-7081. That's the number?
Yes.
662-7081. So if you want to charter, even right now, if you're on Nevis and you want to get over to St. Kitts, give them a call. Depending on what you're proposing, they'll be able to take you over. So Islander, also Shabazz Organics there at Case Bay Mansell's last stop. Check them out. You want to tour around Nevis, you want to hike, you want to go and visit Shabazz Organics, give us a call. Imperial Rides, Taxi and Tours. Want to say thanks to Real Entertainment Network and the team for making this show possible this evening. Thank everybody. Thank all the people who commented on the wall, all of the callers. See you guys next week. See you guys on Friday for another edition of Everything Agriculture. Enough respect, everybody. Guidance. Let's double check and make sure the technician is ready to take us out. So I guess we're gonna so if the technician is ready, then take us out of here.
Every song I write, hit song. Every song I write, hit song. Tell me something.
Alright, give thanks.
Am I wrong? To believe in myself. Put nobody above myself. Energy, build your energy. Love, charity. What a sight to see. What a sight to see. What a colossal. Working and working to prosper. What you gonna stop for? Keep on, it's right on the corner. Hey.
When comfort, class and reliability matter, choose the ride that delivers more. Imperial Rides Transportation Services, where every journey is treated like royalty. From airport transfers, private events, shopping trips, island tours, and executive travel, Imperial Rides moves you in style, clean, comfortable, on time, every time. Book your premium taxi or tour service today. Call or WhatsApp 869-665-8459 or email elandflavas@gmail.com. Imperial Rides Transportation Services. Your journey